You were taught that humility keeps you safe. It doesn't. It keeps you invisible, powerless, and dependent on the mercy of others who will never come. That beggar's mistake wasn't poverty, it was his mind. The beggar at the railway station wasn't poor because he lacked money. He was poor because he saw himself as inherently powerless. Every morning, he positioned himself as someone who could only receive, never create, never trade, never command. This is the beggar framework, a mental prison where you believe your survival depends on the generosity of others. Most men live here without realizing it. You wait for your boss to notice your work. You wait for her to appreciate your loyalty. You wait for the world to reward your patience. But waiting is just sophisticated begging. You've outsourced your value to external validation, and now you're shocked when nothing comes. The beggar wasn't physically chained to that platform. He was chained by a single belief: I have nothing to give. That belief made him invisible, disposable, and irrelevant. It made him someone people stepped over without guilt. The businessman didn't refuse him out of cruelty. He refused him because the beggar offered no reason to engage. No value, no exchange, no threat, just open palms and empty promises. Most men are this beggar. Different location, same posture, same poverty. The businessman asked one question that shattered everything. Have you ever given anything to anyone? That question wasn't philosophical. It was diagnostic. It exposed the beggar's operating system, a one-directional flow where he only extracted, never contributed. This is how most men operate in their relationships, careers, and social circles. They give attention without receiving respect. They offer loyalty without demanding reciprocity. They invest time without establishing terms. Then they wonder why they're treated like resources instead of threats. The exchange principle is simple. Power only moves through transaction. If you give without requiring return, you're not generous, you're prey. The beggar believed his poverty exempted him from this law. It didn't. It made him more subject to it. When he finally offered flowers, something shifted. People didn't give him more because the flowers were valuable. They gave him more because the transaction reframed him. He was no longer a beggar. He was a traitor. The flowers were worthless. The repositioning was priceless. You are doing this wrong in every area of your life. You're handing out your time, your attention, your emotional labor, and calling it kindness. It's not. It's self-destruction dressed as virtue. There are 3 positions a man can occupy. The beggar operates from scarcity. He asks for permission, waits for approval, and survives on what others choose to give him. His entire existence depends on being likable, non-threatening, and grateful. He apologizes for taking up space. He overexplains his needs. He celebrates scraps as if they were victories. Most men are here and don't know it. The businessman operates from exchange. He doesn't ask, he offers. He doesn't wait, he proposes terms. Every interaction is a negotiation where both parties leave with something. He understands leverage. He knows that respect isn't given to the humble. It's reserved for those who control access to something valuable. He's transactional, calculating, and never operates at a loss. The sovereign operates from abundance. He doesn't need to trade because he's already built systems that generate value autonomously. He engages selectively, refuses freely, and disappears without explanation. People come to him. He doesn't chase opportunities. He creates conditions where opportunities chase him. Most men think they're businessmen. They're not. They're beggars who occasionally get paid. The test is simple. Can you walk away from anything without loss? If not, you're still on that platform with your hand out. The flowers were worthless. Wildflowers plucked from railway tracks, dying within hours. Yet they changed everything. Why? Because value isn't inherent, it's perceived. The beggar didn't suddenly become rich. He didn't acquire skills or credentials. He simply engineered how others interpreted the transaction. Before the flowers, people saw a beggar taking. After the flowers, they saw an exchange occurring. The material reality was identical. The psychological frame was transformed. This is perception warfare. The beggar understood what most men never learn. Desperation is repulsive, but offering, even something trivial, signals autonomy. It says, I don't need your pity. I have something you might want. That shift in posture is more valuable than the object itself. History confirms this. Monarchs wore crowns, metal shaped into circles. The crown had no functional value, but it concentrated perception, made authority visible, turned a man into a symbol. The beggar's flowers did the same thing. They were his crown. You are failing this test daily. You show up overeager, overavailable, explaining why you deserve consideration. You're telegraphing desperation. Meanwhile, the man who offers less but frames it as selective access gets everything. Stop trying to prove your worth. Start controlling how your worth is perceived. The beggar didn't become more valuable. He became illegible to pity. The beggar's transformation happened in 3 movements. First, he stopped asking. This alone changed everything. Asking is submission. It puts the other person in the position of judge, granting or withholding based on their mood. The beggar stopped submitting. Second, he introduced exchange. He offered flowers, not because they mattered, but because offering anything repositions you from dependent to participant. You're no longer seeking favor. You're proposing transaction. Third, he refused to operate without flowers. When he ran out, donations dropped. He learned that consistency in exchange builds expectation. People began seeing him as a trader, not a charity case. Now apply this to your life. Stop asking for raises, demonstrate value, then name your price. Stop seeking her attention, withdraw yours, and let scarcity create demand. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't respect you. Refuse engagement entirely. Audit everywhere you're begging. Every text you send twice, every time you stay in conversations past your interest, every moment you tolerate disrespect because you fear losing access. These are beggar patterns. Replace them with refusal. The goal isn't to become transactional in some cold, robotic way. The goal is to become unavailable to those who see you as a resource. You're not teaching them your value. You're making yourself inaccessible to those who don't already recognize it. The beggar left the railway station forever. Not because he got rich, because he killed who he was. He stopped identifying as someone powerless, stopped seeing himself as dependent, stopped carrying the story that kept him chained. This is the part most men refuse. You've built an entire personality around being the patient one, the understanding one, the one who gives people chances. You call it emotional intelligence. It's not. It's a defense mechanism you've mistaken for virtue. That identity served you once. It kept you safe when you were weak. But now it's a cage you're defending because abandoning it feels like betrayal. It's not betrayal. It's evolution. The beggar felt this resistance too. For 2 days he didn't beg. He sat there, paralyzed, knowing he had to become someone else, but terrified of what that meant. Then he chose. He became a businessman, then later a man who didn't need the station at all. You're facing the same choice. The identity you've been protecting, the nice guy, the loyal friend, the hard worker waiting to be noticed, is what's keeping you invisible. Killing it will feel like dying. That's how you know it's working. The people who benefit from your old self will call it arrogance, coldness, change for the worse. Let them. They were never paying you anyway. 6 months later, the beggar returned as an equal. Not because the world suddenly decided to reward him, because he stopped participating in systems designed to extract from him. He built his own. He expanded his flower business not by asking permission, but by recognizing he never needed it. The railway station, the place that once defined him, became irrelevant. This is the final lesson. You owe them nothing. Not explanations. Not second chances. Not the benefit of doubt. Not your patience while they decide if you're worth their time. The social contract you've been honoring is one-sided. You show up, you contribute, you stay loyal, and they take until you're empty, then act confused when you withdraw. The beggar's flowers were the last thing he ever gave from a position of lack. After that, everything he offered came from surplus, from choice, from power. You're still operating from lack. Still trying to prove yourself to people who decided your value years ago. Still waiting for the moment they finally see you. They won't, and you don't need them to. The men who understand this don't announce their departure. They don't explain their transformation. They simply disappear from the spaces that required them to beg, and they reappear in environments where their presence alone is the entry fee. Stop waiting. The station is empty. The train already left.